It was the year 2198. Earth had changed a lot over the past 200 years. Cities stretched into the sky, oceans were cleaner, and people lived longer. But the biggest change wasn't on Earth. It was out there, among the stars. For most of human history, space travel was slow and dangerous. Even by the late 21st century, humans could barely reach Mars without risking their lives. But everything changed when scientists discovered how to use dark matter for faster-than-light, FTL, travel. It was a breakthrough that no one saw coming. The first test happened in secret. A small ship called the Starblade vanished from orbit around the moon and reappeared near Titan, one of Saturn's moons. It took just under an hour. The world didn't know about it. Only a few people did: scientists, military leaders, and a handful of politicians. The reason for the secrecy? Fear, not fear of failure, but fear of what might happen if others found out. Humans weren't alone in the galaxy. They hadn't made contact yet, but signals from deep space hinted at powerful civilizations watching the stars. Some of them might not be friendly, so instead of announcing their discovery, the governments of Earth decided to hide it. They built new ships with stealth tech, using materials that absorbed radar and light. They trained pilots and engineers in secret bases on the far side of the moon. They planted false reports about failed missions and outdated propulsion systems. The public believed humanity was still struggling to reach Alpha Centauri. In truth, humans had already built colonies beyond the Kuiper Belt. One of those people helping keep the secret was Daniel Hawkins. He was a scientist working at the Deep Space Research Station known as Nova 71, orbiting a cold, dead planet near Neptune. He was quiet, smart, and always asking questions. He loved space more than anything. He used to dream of being the first man to step on another star system. Now, he was part of something bigger, and he didn't even know it. His job was to study the effects of FTL travel on dark matter fields. Every time a ship jumped through space, it left behind a ripple. These ripples were invisible to normal sensors, but Daniel could see them in the data. He noticed something strange. Every jump created a kind of echo, like throwing a stone into a pond. The echoes were small, harmless, but over time, they added up, and sometimes they didn't fade away completely. "That's odd," he muttered one evening, looking at his screen. "This signal should have died out weeks ago." He sent the data to his supervisor, Lisa Bennett, who worked at the main research base on Earth. She was sharp and careful. She never missed a detail. She looked at the data and frowned. "Send me the raw logs," she said over the secure channel. Daniel complied. A few hours later, Lisa replied, "These aren't random. They're patterns. Someone, or something, is responding to our jumps." Daniel stared at her message for a long time. Then he turned back to his screen and started digging deeper. Meanwhile, across the solar system, in the underground city of Eden Outpost, life went on as usual. It was one of the first human colonies outside Earth, built beneath the surface of Ceres, a large asteroid in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. People here lived in domes filled with air, plants, and sunlight from artificial suns. They farmed, taught school, raised kids, and worked in factories that built parts for deep space ships. Among them was Maya Ellis, a young girl of 12. She loved looking at the stars through the dome ceiling at night. She often asked her parents questions about space. "Mom, do you think we'll ever meet aliens?" Her mom smiled. "Maybe. Someday. But Dad says they might not want to meet us." Well, maybe not all of them, but some might. Maya thought about that for a while. What if they're already watching us? Her mother laughed gently. Then let's hope they like what they see. In reality, Maya was closer to the truth than anyone knew. Far beyond the edge of the solar system, in the dark silence between stars, something was listening. It wasn't human. It wasn't alive in the way humans understood life. It was ancient, vast, and patient, and it had just detected the first signs of humanity's rise. Back at Nova 7, Daniel kept working late into the night. He started running simulations based on the data Lisa had sent him. What he found scared him. Each time a human ship jumped, it sent out a pulse, not just through space, but through something else, something deeper. He called it the dark wave. It traveled faster than light, farther than any human signal had gone before. And it wasn't just bouncing off empty space. Something was catching it, responding to it. He wrote a report and sent it to Lisa. She read it quickly and called him. "We need to tell the council." "You think this is big enough for them?" Daniel asked. "If we're sending waves through the fabric of the universe and something is catching them, yeah, it's big." So they sent the report up the chain. At the top of the chain was President Julie Carter, the leader of the United Earth Alliance. She was calm, strong, and always thinking ahead. She had been warned that humanity's expansion might draw attention. Now it seemed that warning was becoming real. She gathered her advisors. "How many jumps have we made in the last 6 months? Over 300. Have we mapped where the echoes are going? Some, but not all. And the response? Unknown." She sat back and rubbed her eyes. "We've been hiding for too long. We thought we could grow in silence, but the universe doesn't stay silent forever." One of her generals spoke. "Should we stop all FTL activity?" "No," she said, "but we need to understand what we're doing before we do more damage." So the order went out. Limit FTL jumps. Monitor all signals. Increase security at all off-world stations. But it was already too late. In the void between stars, something old and unseen had heard the sound of humanity's footsteps, and it was turning to look. The silence didn't last long. Even with fewer jumps and tighter security, the signals kept going out into space. The dark wave, what Daniel had discovered, wasn't something humans could easily control. Every time a ship moved faster than light, it left behind a mark in the fabric of space itself, and someone was watching. Far beyond the edge of human reach, in a system ruled by an ancient race known as the Zalari, a quiet storm was beginning. The Zalari were tall, pale beings, with smooth skin and large eyes that saw more than just light. They lived for hundreds of years and believed they were the keepers of balance in the galaxy. Their ships moved silently through space, powered by energy drawn from stars themselves. For centuries, they had watched over the great star lanes, paths through space used by many species to travel quickly between systems. But now those paths were changing. Something was causing small shifts in the dark matter fields that ran beneath normal space. At first, the changes were so tiny that no one noticed. But soon, entire routes became unstable. Some ships vanished, mid-jump. Others arrived far off course. A high-ranking Zalari officer named Kyle Norton was sent to investigate. He wasn't born Zalari. He was human. Many years ago, during a failed mission near Uranus, Kyle's ship had been damaged. He should have died. Instead, a Zalari rescue team found him and saved his life. Impressed by his courage and curiosity, they offered him a choice: return to Earth or stay and learn about the wider galaxy. He chose to stay. Now, he was a respected officer in the Zalari fleet, trusted by many, though still seen by some as an outsider. His orders were clear: find the source of the disturbances and report back. He led a small crew aboard the Starblade, a name borrowed from early human vessels, heading toward the outer edges of known space where the distortions were strongest. As they traveled deeper, strange readings began appearing on their sensors. "This doesn't match any known patterns," said Rao's Lena Voss, the ship's science officer. "Are we sure it's not just sensor noise?" asked Colonel Miguel Cruz, the pilot. "No," Lena replied. "It's real, and it's growing stronger." They followed the signal for days, jumping from one system to another until finally they reached a point where space itself seemed wrong. Stars looked dimmer. Time felt slower. Even the air inside the ship felt heavier. Then, they saw it. Planet, but not just any planet. It was surrounded by invisible shields, its surface covered with domes and towers made of metal and glass. Ships, small, fast, and unlike anything the Zalari had seen, moved around it like bees near a hive. That's not Zalari tech, Kyle said quietly. Or any other species we know, Lena added. It's human, Miguel whispered. Everyone fell silent. They had found what they were looking for. They had found humanity. Back on Earth, things were getting worse. Daniel Hawkins and Lisa Bennett were still trying to understand what the dark wave meant. They had mapped dozens of echo points across the galaxy. Each one was connected to a jump made by a human ship. It's like we're sending out ripples in a pond, Daniel said. But the pond is huge and we don't know who else is swimming in it. Lisa nodded. If someone is catching these echoes, they might already be tracking us. Should we tell the Council? We already did, they're not listening. In truth, the Council was divided. Some wanted to stop all FTL travel immediately. Others argued that hiding forever wasn't an option. President-to-be Julie Carter sat in her office, staring at reports filled with technical terms she barely understood. We've been pretending we can grow without being seen, she said to her advisor. Roger Ellis, Maya's father. But maybe that was never possible. So what do we do now? She sighed. We wait, and we watch. On the Starblade, Kyle and his crew watched the human colony below. They didn't attack. They didn't send messages. They simply observed. From orbit, they saw farms built under glass domes, people walking on the surface in suits, children playing in open fields. There was no sign of war, no weapons aimed at them, just life. Kyle, Lena said softly, they look peaceful. Too peaceful, he replied. Why hide if you have nothing to fear? Maybe they're afraid of us. Maybe. He opened a secure channel and sent a message back to Zalari Command. Source identified. Origin, human. Technology advanced. Behavior non-hostile. Awaiting further orders. He hit send, then waited. Days passed. No reply came. Instead, another ship appeared near them. Not Zalari, not human, something else. Its shape was sharp and angular. Its hull shimmered like oil on water. It moved with purpose. Before anyone could react, it fired. A single shot struck the Starblade's engine. Alarm screamed, lights flickered. Damage report, Kyle shouted. Engine offline, we're drifting. Who fired? Lena yelled. Miguel scanned the sensors. Unknown vessel. Unknown origin. It's gone. Kyle stared at the screen. Someone else knew about the humans, and they didn't want peace. Meanwhile, on the human colony, life continued as usual. Maya Ellis stood outside one evening looking up at the sky. Mom, why are there more stars tonight? Her mother looked up. Those aren't stars, honey. They're ships. Ships? Who's flying them? We don't know yet. Below ground, scientists were rushing to analyze new data. We picked up a signal, said one researcher. Not from Earth, not from our ships either. Where did it come from? Space. And it was aimed at us. Was it friendly? We don't know. But it was watching us. Back on the Starblade, the crew worked hard to repair the damage. Can we make it back? Lena asked. Barely, Kyle said. But we need to warn the Council. Something else is out there. And it doesn't want humans to rise. Do you think the Zalari will listen? Some will. Others won't. He turned to the main screen and brought up a view of the human colony. They're not ready for this. None of us are. The attack on the Starblade was not just a warning. It was the first crack in the silence humanity had kept for decades. Back on Earth, President Julie Carter sat in her office with a report in her hands. It came from the Deep Space Monitoring. Station Nova 7-1. The message was short but clear. Unknown ship attacked Zalari vessel near human colony. Attacker vanished after one shot. No further contact. She read it again, then looked at her advisor. Roger Ellis. Maya's father. Someone else knows about us, she said quietly. He nodded. And they don't want us to be seen. Outside the window, the city lights of New York glowed like stars on the ground. People were walking, talking, laughing. None of them knew how close they were to something bigger than any war, bigger than any discovery before. Inside the government, the debate was already heating up. Some leaders wanted to shut down all FTL travel. Others argued that hiding was no longer an option. A few even suggested striking first, to find the attacker and destroy them before they could strike again. But Julie didn't want war. Not yet. She called a meeting with the top scientists, military officers, and diplomats. "We've spent years hiding because we feared what might happen if aliens found us," she told them. "Well, now they've found us, and some of them aren't friendly." One general asked, "Should we go public? Tell everyone what's happening?" "Not yet," she said. "We need to understand more before we scare the world." But even as she spoke those words, the truth was already slipping away. On the human colony orbiting the cold planet beyond Neptune, life was changing. Scientists had picked up strange signals from space. Some of their ships had gone missing during jumps, and now, reports of the Starblade's attack were spreading among the settlers. People were asking questions. Who was out there? Were they enemies? Why had someone fired on a peaceful ship in one of the research labs? Daniel Hawkins was working late again. He had been studying the dark wave since he first discovered it. Now, he was closer than ever to understanding its full power. He turned to his colleague, Lisa Bennett. "I think I know what's happening," he said. "What do you mean?" "Every time we jump, we're not just moving through space. We're sending out a signal. Not just light or radio waves, something deeper, something older." "Like what?" "Imagine the galaxy has a nervous system, invisible to most species. But when we use our FTL tech, we're poking that system and something is reacting." Lisa stared at him. "You're saying we're ringing a bell that shouldn't be rung?" "Yes," he said. "And someone or something is answering." They both fell silent. Then Lisa whispered, "How many times have we jumped?" Daniel pulled up a list. "Over 400. If each jump sent a signal," she said, "then we've been shouting into the void for years." Meanwhile, back aboard the damaged Starblade, Kyle Norton and his crew were still drifting in space. They had managed to restart part of the engine, but they were far from home. "We can't stay here," Lena Voss said. "Someone will come looking for us soon." "Zalari Command hasn't responded to our last message," Kyle said. "Maybe they don't want to." "You think they knew this would happen?" Miguel Cruz asked. "Maybe. Maybe not. But someone doesn't want us telling the truth." "Truth about what?" "That humans are rising. Fast. And someone out there wants to stop them before they get too strong." Lena looked at the data on her screen. "There's another signal," she said, "coming from behind us." Kyle turned. "Friendly?" "No idea, but it's getting closer." Moments later, a second ship appeared. This one was smaller, sleeker, painted black. No markings. It hovered silently beside the Starblade. Then, a voice came over the comms. "Zalari vessel, you are trespassing in restricted space. Identify yourselves." "Everyone," froze, Miguel whispered. "That's not Zalari." "Then who are they?" Lena asked. Kyle opened the channel. "This is Officer Kyle Norton of the Zalari fleet. I am human. We are unarmed and damaged, requesting assistance." There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "You should not have come here. You should not have brought others." Before Kyle could respond, the black ship fired. Not to kill, but to disable. The Starblade lost power. Everything went dark. On Earth, news of the attack spread faster than expected. Somehow the message had leaked. Someone inside the government had sent it to the press. Within hours, the world knew humans were not alone, and someone had attacked a peaceful alien ship watching them. Panic began to grow. Was this the start of war? Should humanity reveal itself? Should they fight? President Carter called an emergency broadcast. "My fellow citizens, she said, standing in front of the world. For many years we have explored the stars in secret. We did so out of caution, not fear. But now, that secrecy is over. The camera zoomed in on her face. We are not alone, and we must prepare for what comes next. Back on the colony, Maya Ellis stood outside with her friends. Do you think we'll meet aliens now? One of them asked. Maybe, Maya said, but not all of them will be nice. Why not? Because some of them already tried to hurt us. Just then a ship landed nearby. It wasn't human. Its shape was curved, smooth like a shell. A door opened. Out stepped a tall being with pale skin and large eyes. Zilari. Maya took a step back. The Zilari looked around, then raised one hand. I come in peace, it said in perfect English. Everyone stood still. Then someone shouted, They found us! The Zilari looked at the crowd. We have known of you for some time. Now, we wish to speak. The first contact didn't bring peace. It brought fear. When the Zilari stepped onto the human colony, some people welcomed them. Others ran. Rumors spread like fire. Some said they came in peace. Others said it was the start of an invasion. On Earth, President Rio, Julie Carter, watched the footage with a heavy heart. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen, she said quietly. Her advisor, Roger Ellis, stood beside her. We tried to stay hidden, he said. But now we're out in the open, she nodded. And not everyone will see that as a good thing. Around the world, governments reacted fast. Some countries wanted to talk. Others wanted to prepare for war. Military bases went on high alert. Spaceports launched more ships into orbit. Scientists worked day and night to understand what the Zilari wanted and who had attacked the Starblade. Meanwhile, Daniel Hawkins and Lisa Bennett were still trying to understand the dark wave. Every jump we make sends out a signal, Daniel explained to his team. And those signals are being read by something far beyond us. Lisa looked at the data again. So we're not just traveling through space, we're sending messages? Yes, he said. And someone is listening. They sent their findings to the council, but before anyone could act on it, another attack happened. This time, it wasn't in deep space. It was close, too close. A human colony on Titan, the moon of Saturn, was hit without warning. Ships appeared out of nowhere, sleek, black, silent. Before anyone could react, they fired. Energy beams struck the domes protecting the settlement. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. Air rushed out into space. People ran. Some made it to shelters. Others didn't. By the time the attackers left, the colony was in ruins. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Attack on Titan, headlines screamed. Humans under fire. Who did this? Why now? President Carter called an emergency meeting. We need answers, she said. Now, her military advisors had only one thing to say. Someone wants to stop humanity's rise. But who? Aboard the damaged Starblade, Kyle Norton and his crew were still floating in space. After being disabled by the black ship, they had drifted for hours. Then, help arrived, not from the Zilari, but from a group calling themselves the Shadow Pact. They were not aligned with any known race. No records existed about them. Even the Zilari feared them. Their leader was a woman named Sarah Vane, tall, calm, and deadly. She stepped aboard the Starblade and looked around. You shouldn't have come here, she told Kyle. He stared at her. Who are you? Someone who knows what's coming. Then tell me, who attacked the colony? Sarah smiled slightly. Someone who doesn't want humans to grow strong. Kyle frowned. You mean the Zilari? No, she said. Not all of them. But there are those among us who believe balance must be kept. And humans, you break that balance. We're not trying to hurt anyone, but you do. Just by existing. She turned to leave. Wait, Kyle said. What happens now? She paused. War. Then she was gone. Back on Earth, the government was falling apart. Some leaders wanted to fight back, others wanted to hide again. But hiding was no longer possible. People across the planet saw the same images: burning colonies, broken ships, crying families. For the first time in history, humans knew they were not alone. And not everyone wanted them here. President Carter made a bold decision. She called for a global broadcast. Millions tuned in. "My fellow citizens," she began, "we have lived in peace for too long. We thought we could grow in silence. But now silence has been broken." She looked into the camera. "We are under attack, not by all aliens, but by some. And we must decide who we are in this new galaxy." She took a breath. "We can be victims, or we can be warriors. I choose to fight for our home, for our future, and for the right to exist among the stars." Cheers rose in some places. Protest broke out in others, but the message was clear. Humanity was ready to stand. On the colony near Neptune, Maya Ellis sat with her mother. "Are we going to war?" she asked. Her mom held her hand. "I don't know. Will the aliens come here? Maybe, but not all of them are bad." Maya's eyes were wide. "Then why did they attack Titan?" "Because someone is afraid of us." "Why?" "Because we're growing, because we're different, and because we've changed the rules." Outside, ships flew overhead. Some were human, others were Zalari. Contact had begun, but trust had not. Meanwhile, Daniel and Lisa were working non-stop. "If the dark wave is causing damage to subspace," Daniel said, "then we need to find a way to control it." "Can we?" Lisa asked. "Maybe. If we change how our FTL drives work, if we dampen the signal, maybe we can stop drawing attention. Or maybe it's already too late." They looked at each other. "Then we have to fix the damage we've done." Just then a message came in from the Zalari. "Zalari Council requests immediate audience with human leadership. Time is short, President." Carter responded quickly. "Send a ship, we'll meet them in neutral space." Neutral space was far from any planet. Cold, dark, empty. 2 ships met there. 1 human, 1 Zalari. Inside the human ship were President Carter, Roger Ellis, and a small team of diplomats and scientists. On the Zalari ship were high-ranking officials, including the Zalari Prime Speaker. They spoke face-to-face for the first time. "We did not send the attack on Titan," the Prime Speaker said. "Then who did?" Carter asked. "There are factions within our people. Some believe humanity must be stopped before it grows too powerful." Carter narrowed her eyes. "And what do you believe?" The speaker was quiet for a moment. "I believe you deserve a chance, but the galaxy does not give chances freely." Carter nodded. "Then help us. Help us understand what we've done. Help us fix it." The speaker studied her. "Perhaps," he said. "But not all will agree." The meeting between humans and Zalari did not end in peace, but it ended in hope. President Julie Carter returned to Earth with a message that changed everything. "We are not enemies, but we must learn to live together." Not everyone believed. Some people still wanted revenge for Titan. Others feared what would happen if aliens came too close. But some saw a chance to build something new. And so, the Constellation Pact was born. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy, but it was a start. In the months that followed, human ships began traveling farther than ever before, not to hide, but to meet. Some aliens were friendly, others were cold. A few refused to talk at all, but slowly, trust grew. Scientists from Earth and Zalari worked together to study the dark wave. They discovered what Daniel Hawkins had suspected. Humanity's FTL tech was sending out signals through subspace like ripples in a pond that never stopped growing. Those ripples had reached far corners of the galaxy, and someone had answered. Not all of them were peaceful. Some had attacked because they saw humans as a threat. Others had watched in silence, waiting to see what kind of species humanity would become. Now, the choice was clear. Humans could either be destroyers or builders. They chose to build. On the colony near Neptune, life was changing. Maya's school now had students from different worlds. Zilari children sat beside human kids, learning each other's languages. Some spoke slowly, others laughed and played like they had always known each other. Maya looked up at the stars every night. "Mom," she asked one evening, "do you think we'll ever find the ones who attacked Titan?" Her mother paused. "Maybe," she said. "But not all questions have answers yet." Maya nodded. "I want to find them." "Why?" "Because I want to know why they were afraid of us," her mother smiled gently. "Then maybe one day you will." Back on Earth, Daniel Hawkins and Lisa Bennett continued their work. They led a team of scientists from both human and Zilari backgrounds. Their goal: fix the damage caused by the dark wave. "If we can control how our FTL drives send out signals," Daniel explained, "we can stop sending messages we don't mean to send," Lisa added. "And maybe, just maybe, we can use the dark wave to understand more about space itself." They spent years testing new drive designs. Eventually, they succeeded. A new kind of engine was built, one that moved fast without sending out dangerous echoes. It was called the Quiet Jump. For the first time, humanity could travel without waking. The unknown forces beyond the stars. Meanwhile, Kyle Norton became the first human Zilari ambassador. His job was simple in name, hard in practice. He traveled across the galaxy, meeting leaders, speaking for both sides, trying to keep peace. Some listened, others didn't. He visited places where humans were welcomed. He also visited places where humans were hated. He met with old enemies. He talked with warlords. He even faced death once. When a rogue faction tried to kill him during a speech, he survived, and he kept going, because he believed in something bigger than himself. He believed that humans and aliens could live together. Not perfectly, but together. One day, a new ship arrived at Earth. It wasn't human. It wasn't Zilari. Its shape was strange, round like a planet, glowing with light. No weapons, no threats, just a single message. "We have been watching. We wish to speak." President Carter stood with her council. "This is it," she said. "Our next step." Roger Ellis, Maya's father, looked at her. "Are you ready?" She smiled. "We've come this far. We might as well go further." The meeting took place in orbit above Earth, a floating station built by both humans and Zilari. Inside, representatives from many species gathered. The new race, the one that had sent the glowing ship, called themselves the Vari. They looked like living light, shifting colors, no solid form. They spoke in thoughts, not words. When they spoke to Carter, they showed her images of galaxies far away, of wars fought long ago, of civilizations rising and falling. "You are young," they told her, "but you are strong. You have changed the path of the stars. Will you continue?" Carter closed her eyes, then opened them. "Yes." The Vari nodded. If such a thing could be called a nod, then you are no longer alone. After the meeting, the Vari left, but they promised to return, and they weren't the only ones. Other species began reaching out. Some came in peace. Others came to test, but none came in silence. The galaxy had noticed humanity, and, now, it was listening. Years passed. The constellation pact grew stronger. New colonies were built, some with humans, some with Zilari, some with both. Ships flew between stars with new quiet engines. Children like Maya grew up knowing that space was full of voices, some familiar, some strange, but all worth hearing. On a small world near the edge of known space, a girl stood outside under a purple sky. She looked up at the stars. "What do you think is out there?" she asked her friend. The friend, a boy with Zilari eyes and human skin, smiled. "Something new," he said. They watched the sky together. Far away, a ship jumped into view. Not fast, not loud, but sure. And somewhere deep inside, someone whispered, "Humanity has risen."